Welcome to Chef Richard's Kitchen. I'm Chef Richard Miller. Today we're going to make chicken marsala. And this is a chicken recipe that's mostly made with mushrooms and Marsala wine. And it's very, very easy. It's a very elegant meal. It's restaurant worthy. It's one of those you can fix anytime, during the week. It doesn't take long. It's inexpensive. Or you can take and serve it to company. It always goes over well. So what we're going to do is we're going to go about this in a couple of phases, and here again is our steps we use. The first is we're going to take, and I have 3 pieces of chicken here, just plain chicken breast. And what we're going to do is we're going to take and we're going to pound them down until they're between 1/4, probably 3/8 of an inch thick, something like that. Why do we want to do that? Well, mainly because they cook very evenly then, rather than having a tip that is too done and a thick end that isn't well done. This just gives them cooking evenly. So the first thing let's do is I've just taken a piece of plastic wrap and put it over this. And you don't have to pound it real hard. That was one of the big mistakes I made when I first got started, was I thought you had to really pound it. And I did. And it pretty much beat it to pieces. So no, you don't have to pound it very hard. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some flour and I'm going to take some salt. And some pepper. And we're just going to kind of mix this around. Just like this. All right. Now, give me a minute. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put my chopping block and my pounder up. I'm going to wash my hands and wipe down, the counter here since I've had chicken on there. And I'll be right back. Okay, now that we've gotten everything cleaned and sanitary right here, since we've had raw chicken out, we're still got it, but at least it's not all over. What I want to do is I want to put, probably about a tablespoon of olive oil in here. And what I've done with this is the same thing I always do with pans and everything. I spray them with a vegetable spray. So, all right, now okay, here's our chicken. Last piece. Okay. Now, one of the questions you might ask is, so many of times people want to take and put breadcrumbs and dump them in egg and everything else on here. Why didn't I do that this time? Well, the big reason is I want them to brown nicely, and I want the flour on there. It's just going to be enough. It's just going to be enough that when we take them out, the flour will help thicken the wine that we have in there. Right? In other words, it just helps thicken it. So let me go ahead and clean up again. Be right back. Okay, the chicken's going Going very well. It's all in. It's starting to brown. It isn't quite brown enough yet, but we also don't want it too brown. So I'm going to give it about another minute or two, and then I'm going to go ahead and turn it. What we're going to do is once the chicken has browned, we're going to take it out, we're going to put on a plate, and we're going to tin it with aluminum foil. And we're going to go ahead, then we're going to go ahead and make our sauce. Then we'll put the chicken back in it and let it simmer until all the flavors melt. And that's it. So let's take a quick look. Yeah, it's actually looking pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to flip it. Notice that when you leave it in long enough for it to start to brown on the side, it will actually, tend to lift itself off. It'll kind of unstick itself. That, and also I put on I sprayed it with a vegetable spray, and I also put some olive oil in here. But you'll be amazed that when you just leave it there for a while, how much easier it releases. Okay, the chicken is done. It's not yet cooked through, but that when we put it in with the sauce and let it simmer, it will cook then. Let me take this out. And I'm going to go ahead and tin it. And this will help keep it warm. Okay, now, let me go ahead and put just a little more oil in here. And it's now time to put the mushrooms. And I'm just using a cup of sliced bell mushrooms. And so what we'll do now with this is we're just going to let them sweat and lose a lot of their moisture. Then we'll go ahead and we'll put in a couple cloves of garlic, probably a quarter cup of parsley, and I've got a generous half cup of Marsala wine, plus any salt and pepper later on that we want to use just to make it taste a little bit better. All right, once that's done and this is simmering, then we're going to go ahead and we're going to get our pasta ready. And most of the time when people make this, they'll use some kind of strand pasta, either spaghetti, linguine, or something like that. I tend to probably prefer linguine. On the other hand, I've got some spaghetti that I have left over from when I made the chicken piccata, and it looks like just enough to do this. So that's a no-brainer right there. So I'm just going to use spaghetti for this one. They're losing their liquid here. I turn the heat down a little bit because I don't want to burn them to the bottom of the pan. Although I am getting some nice some nice fond, or these brown bits, down in the bottom of the pan. That's sure looking good, and that's going to taste awful good too. I've probably got another couple of minutes with these mushrooms, so I'm just going to go ahead and, as usual, I'll shut it down here so you don't have to watch all that. So, be right back. All right, well, the mushrooms are pretty well done. I'm about to throw in the garlic, but as you know, I do this channel because I want to educate people on some of the ways, of cooking, how to make it fun, how to make it easy, and often how to make it inexpensive. So, my lesson for today involves the Marsala wine. And if you look at it, it kind of has a reddish brown appearance, and that's how it's supposed to. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to take it, I want you to drink it. Okay, Marsala is often used as a dessert wine. Would you serve that wine to somebody? If the answer is no and you bought it out of the cooking wine section of the grocery store, throw it away. Don't put it in your food. But if you think it's good, and it's not a real expensive Marsala. It's a very competent commercial brand. So, yeah, to me, that tastes very good. So I'll go ahead and use it. Now, let's go ahead and let's put our garlic in. And I tend to put the garlic in long after the mushrooms are pretty well done. And let's just cook them until they're fragrant. Yep, they're getting fragrant. Now let me go ahead and I'm going to put the bulk of my parsley in. And let's go ahead and let's kind of saute that as well. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pour my Marsala in there. Now remember, any wine, don't stand over it if you're standing, with a wine, especially with a bourbon or a vodka or something like that, because remember, the alcohol is going to start evaporating, and if you've got an open flame down there, you may get your eyelids singed. Okay. So I'll put that in there, and I'm going to go ahead and scrape up the fond that's in the bottom. That's got all that good flavor in there. All right. Now, I'm just going to let a little of this alcohol burn off. And by the way, anybody that worries, about kids or anything else, getting the whole alcohol, believe me, by the time we've cooked this, any of the demons have long been boiled out of it. The only thing that's going to remain, no alcohol, but you are going to get that good Marsala taste. Okay, let's just give it another minute or so to kind of reduce here, and then we're going to go ahead and put our chicken back in. Once the chicken's back in there, and we're going to let it simmer and thicken, we're going to go ahead and cook our pasta. Then it's time to dine. So, give me a minute. I'll be right back. All right. As you can see, the sauce is reduced down nicely. So let's go ahead and let's put our chicken in here. Alright. There. Now, I did taste this, and I put just a little bit of salt in there. Didn't take much, but I did put just a little bit in. So, now let me go ahead, I turn the heat down on this a little bit. I'm going to let it simmer. I'm going to go ahead and cover it, and then let's go ahead and do our pasta. Okay, we're all done. The spaghetti's done, the Marsala's done. I even made a piece of garlic cheese bread that we're going to put on here. So let's start out just by putting our pasta down. Now let's go ahead and take one of our pieces of chicken, put it over. Now what I'd like to do is just take a little bit of the sauce and pour it over it. A little bit of our chopped parsley. And what I'd like to do now is just a little bit, I'm going to grind just a little bit of Parmesan Romano or Parmesan Reggiano. Any of those would do. You just want a nice Italian. You just want a nice Italian cheese. Clean this such. Put on our piece of bread. Now, we can either garnish with a piece of Italian flat leaf parsley, or with a couple of pieces of just regular parsley. All right, I'll put that under the detail camera so you can see it. You know, in fact, which would you prefer? You know, should I use the flat leaf parsley? Should I use the regular parsley? Now, if you also want to do something, you could also take and maybe put a lemon slice on there as well. Do we use a lemon in here? No, but lemon goes very well with Marsala. So, here we go. Very, very easy. All you do is just pound and dredge some chicken breasts, take them out, and then go ahead and sweat out your mushrooms. When they're done, put in your garlic until it's fragrant, your parsley, then take and pour in some Marsala wine, put your chicken back in there again, and let her go. Make sure you taste it though and put a little salt and pepper in there. It's very, very easy, as you see. You know, it's extremely easy. You could do this very easily for any night of the week if you wanted to give your family a real nice treat for dinner. All right. In the meantime, you could also feed it when company's coming. It's very good for that. And, what can really is more impressive than saying I'm fixing something like chicken marsala. It does. It is have something of a ring to it. So, anyway, until next time, take care. God bless. Thank you once again for letting me into your home and letting me share this time with you as I show you how to, hopefully make some very, very nice things, very, very easily. So, take care. God bless. And I look forward to seeing all of you on the next episode. Give me a thumbs up, for heaven's sake, and even better, subscribe. If you know some friends that are interested in cooking, ask them to subscribe too. It's free to them and it sure helps me. So, once again, take care and I'll see you next episode. Bye for now.